And fuck. Well, we're recording on Zoom. Come on, OBS. And we are recording and streaming and all this good stuff on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025 at 12:06 p.m. Eastern Time with Dr. Jessica Rose to talk about Nonstop Psyops. And I think you might have just had one of the better opening lines beforehand, and it was, I was going to get coffee, but I decided to get wine. And that's such like a definitive, like, not only difference in drug, but just like also total establishment of like, it's like going to jail and killing someone the first day. It's coming on the podcast, and you're like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine instead of coffee. I respect it. It's a power move. For everyone
Is
that,
it?
I think it's
Wow.
a little bit of a power move. I think it's showing up and being like, yeah, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. Like, I think I respect it. I think it's the equivalent of killing someone in prison. So, for anyone that might be confused, Dr. Rose, please introduce yourself. You've been on here 1,000 times before. All your links are in the description. I think specifically your Substack, but everything we always talk about always ends up kind of floating away into kind of bigger pictures. So I decided,
Or being like cats.
or cats. No, it's funny whenever because I keep all of like the titles and descriptions of shows on the Apple Notes, just so I can go back and copy and paste. And it's like when I searched like, Jessica Rose, just go back and find it. Like all of them are cats. It's like the cats talking to cats. Cats are okay. A galaxy of cats. The profundity of cats. The surfing cats. I was like, Jesus Christ. But Dr.
Should
Rose,
be.
introduce yourself for everyone that maybe doesn't know you, and then we'll jump on into it.
All right. I am a scientist, researcher. I come from Canada. I have been doing a lot of investigation pertaining to the whole COVID con for the last 4 years. I do this from a data-driven point of view. I analyze pharmacovigilance databases, look for signs of safety signals, determine whether or not they're causally, if there are causal links between certain adverse events and these COVID products. And beyond that, because I have some degrees, like an immunology degree, I've been able to investigate some of the mechanisms, the possible mechanisms of action of harms from the shots and also from the virus. That's me, and I'm a surfer, and I'm a musician, and I'm intrigued by everything, the natural world to the AI realm that's descending upon us with fury.
Yeah, with Fury, yeah. How do you see that? I didn't know you had an immunology degree. How do you see that applicable to like the like I don't know. I think my favorite class in college is either organic chemistry or cellular biology. And for me, like the coolest thing about cellular biology was, all throughout biology one, two, biochemistry, physiology, anatomy, all the whatever, you just kind of, build it on top of each other. And it sounds kind of stupid, but I never really thought kind of deeper than like whatever the course was. And by that I mean, say you're in physiology and you're learning about, what happens when you take a bite of a piece of bread, and it's like, the enzymes, and it goes down, and then the, all the intestines start moving, and the different hormones, and the rest and digest, first fight or flight, and the kidney does this and the liver does that and the pancreas and blah blah blah, just an intricate complex cascade of whatever. I'd never actually looked kind of deeper, probably because I didn't have to. Then when you'd see a statement like, and then the kidney releases this, or the pancreas releases that. To me, it was just like, yeah, and you call 911 and they release a squad car. But it wasn't until I took cellular biology or molecular biology that you kind of like, oh wait, there is no, and it sounds stupid, but there is no like command and control. There's no like group of pancreas officers who are like, there's the bread, release the fucking, whatever. And instead it was more of like a Rube Goldberg device where it was like, this hits the cell wall, which causes this, which bumps into this, which causes this protein to do that, and then in turn it releases these, and you're like, oh holy shit, it's all this like pinball thing, and there's no one in charge. It's just happening. And So that would then I would start to think about that in terms of like national governance, like giant, not like a tiny little township, but like nation state. Like sure, there is conscious control. The president, Secretary of Defense, Director of National Intelligence, and that's you, right? That's you going, I want a piece of bread. But all the mechanisms under it and a lot of just the themes in general of progress, technological advancement, it's not all like, and now we're doing, some people do. Some people try to control the, DARPA, whatever. A lot of these things do just kind of emerge and
Yeah.
we just go with it. And we kind of guide it when it starts, like the cell phone. But I mean, for the most part, it's kind of this emergent. So my point of that whole rant was like, that's how cellular biology made me start looking at the world. Like, man, a lot of it is just shit bumping into one another. No one's making you buy this type of chicken. It's just I eat chicken, I work out, I'm single, I don't have to cook for anyone. I go here, what do I get? I get the cheapest one. Well, who decided that was the cheapest? And it's just this whole no one's really guiding it. It's just emerging. So my point is I never took immunology, thank God. How does something like immunology, when you look at, I don't know, the world, do you have any sort of, do you project that? Do you look at, you know, different like
Yeah.
protein releases or
Yeah.
cascades? Do you see that in terms of like terrorist attacks or economic
Yeah.
signals or, political upheavals? Does any of that project in there?
Yeah, yeah, totally. But you should know that I come from systems biology.
Uh-huh.
So my first degree was applied math, which was basically like using mathematical modeling to investigate biology, like the interaction between cells and viruses or whatever. So I was always doing systems biology, which really, I'm not that great at math. I mean, I am. I'm good at math. I'm not that good at computer programming. I'll say that. I I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, but one of the things I tapped into that I had I will say an affinity for was seeing or understanding the complexity or that there is complexity in systems and that everything is a system.
Hmm.
So it's like that propelled me into the immunology degree. So I had that systems biology background going into the immunology, which is basically it's really interesting what you said, like because I think immunology is kind of it's separate from every other field, but it's also the integrating factor, in my opinion. It's like it's one of the things I noticed when I started looking at the VAERS adverse event data in the context of the shots, actually. Like, sure, there was an emergent cluster of cardiovascular adverse events. There were neurological, there still are, by the way, hepatological, all the systems. However, the node the problematic node to me, and maybe this is because, I study immunology, so this is what I see, but I don't think so. It could be, was the immunological dysfunction. Because if you have a dysfunction of that part of the human body, nothing else can work. It might not be, immediately that you will see a dysfunction of the cardiovascular system if you have an immunological dysfunction, but eventually it will happen because it's like you said, it's like it's this amazingly complex integrated system of things like just, happening. It's like action potentials, it's like,
Yeah.
they anyway, yeah, so absolutely. And I see everything from, or I try to see everything from a systems whatever way. There actually are like since I've been in the field, systems biology wasn't really known when I did it. So now it's like a thing, and there's systems physics, and there's systems chemistry, and there's systems, DEI probably. I don't know. There's like systems everything now. So it's good because, we have to kind of look at things if we're trying to solve problems from, this bird's eye view systemic perspective. Because even though everything is kind of, like you said, There are emergencies, and there are like there's a lot of randomness, but it's like, the whole system is kind of controlled by rules. There's
Yeah.
like full rules, there's human rules, and then you start getting, like you were saying, into the idea of thinking about like I don't know, everyone keeps telling me to read the book The Art of War. That's the name of the book, right?
Sun Tzu. Yeah,
Um,
I know. I should read that. I feel like that's such timeless. Yeah. No, I feel like that's probably something to read. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, like I'm lately, I don't know why, it's just the way the universe works. I'm going way deep into thinking about the implications of quantum computing and AIs and their,
Hmm.
where they're, and I yeah, it's like it also makes me have to investigate, in my opinion, game theory, because I kind of,
I need to do that as well.
right?
I
I
have a
think in
friend
a
who's been pushing on me for years. He's like, everything you talk about, you need. I'm like, I know I will. And he's like, it's a
people are
cheat.
saying that to me now, so I'm like, okay,
Fuck,
I
right?
guess
Yeah, I know. Damn it.
yeah, maybe I should get into this. So, but the thing is, it's all the same. Like, I think that war is a game. It's a horrific game. It's driven by power, money, whatever. Um, but it's a game nonetheless. And I think all the people who are quote unquote good at war, and there are people who are good at war, must be good at games. So they must understand game theory. So I'm not saying that I want to be good at war. However, I would like to understand
You have
the
to.
mechanism that drives it so that I can help stop it. You know what I mean?
It's the realest guiding principle of human civilization, like it or not. It's just, you know, there's no there's no nobility in, pontificating about, it's bad that it's happening. It's like the people that are like, it's not good that people are hungry. It's like, sure. But like we have to address that. It's no noble take to say like that's bad. Yeah, anyone can say that. But we have to offer a solution. And like it or not, war, it just is. It just absolutely is. It's resource scarcity, there's power, there's money. You don't have to like it, but it is what it is. And to not understand it or engage in it is to be willfully ignorant. Um,
But do
but
you think we need war?
no, but you have to be capable of it because
Right. Yeah. No, I get it.
I mean, it's a nuclear weapon. You can disarm all of your nuclear weapons, but now you're hoping someone else does. I can unlock my door. I can sell my guns. That's fine. Okay, sure. A noble quest. But now I'm really banking on all my other neighbors in this building are also going to do that. And what if they don't? What if one of them doesn't? Okay, well now I'm just banking on I hope that they're a good person. And what if they're not a good person? How do I enforce them not having a gun if I don't have one? So it's like I'd rather have a gun and never ever have to use it and lock my door and never ever have to replace the padlock or whatever the fuck, deadbolt. It's you have to know how. It's the fucking what's it's the quote it's better to be a warrior who farms than be a farmer who finds himself in a war.
Yeah, that's nice.
It is what it is, and it doesn't mean that you're for it. Doesn't mean you know, doesn't mean you're for mass shootings and war, but it's also just a level of like, don't lie to yourself. Like I own a gun. Like it's because I'm in a city. It's just what it is. I don't look at it as like I want to kill people. I look at it like, yeah, I'm not willing to have my life ended and then have my family have to bury a family member. It's no, fuck you. If somebody, pushes that you've kind of surrendered your life. But my point is about these like systems, there's kind of two directions I want them to go. But one is something as complex as immunology or cellular biology. Like you can't control all of it in the same way that very, very rarely I actually come into a show with like specific questions. I just don't like doing it. It feels fake and gay, to be honest. But what I can do is show up to the best of my abilities. And by that I mean like get 8 hours of sleep, always be well read in history, try to stay abreast of modern topics. When
Yep.
I wake up, I go to the gym to shower. clean clothes, look good, feel good. I meditate and pray for 20 minutes, try to settle down, and then I come into the show. And you could say that I do zero prep. I do zero prep and that I don't have questions for you. I do a lot of prep and that I show up like ready to go. And something like immunology, or as complex as like global systems, but we'll use immunology as the example. You can't guide and under it's too much for one human to understand every protein folding
Yep.
and chemical. But it's like, what can you do? 8 hours of sleep, stay hydrated, vitamins, try to cut down on like the processed shit, sunshine, laughter. And then like the rest, it's like it'll kind of figure itself out. And
Can I
yeah,
interrupt?
go and take it.
I was just thinking today, um, literally, like I'm just like you. I like, and I think this is why I've been told that people like, some of the things that I say. So, and they say that they like it because they find me honest and that I talk about my own life. But I don't know who else's life would I talk about. But anyway, I was after my run today. Oh, please don't let me forget what I was gonna say.
Complex systems show up ready to rock. Immunology systems get 8 hours of sleep,
Oh
stay
yeah, right.
hydrated.
Okay. So it was about food. I have this craving for salt and fat. Like I always
Oh
do, right?
yeah.
Because I'm
Oh yeah.
not a sweet person. And I'm like, okay, I eat a lot of protein. I ate, okay, I'm gonna admit something today. I ate an entire beef roast, and I mean the size of my head by myself in the evening, which I don't do. It's like the reason I'm saying it like this is because I have these they're more than compulsions and it's not based on an addiction. It's like my body is screaming at me. Like if it had a voice, it would be like "Wah," to do something as per ingestion. So it's like your body is really good at telling you if you need water, for
Hmm.
example. Easy one, right? It's pretty good at telling you need caffeine. If you drink caffeine every day, you'll probably get a headache if you don't have it. If you're lacking certain minerals, if you're lacking B12, if you're lacking fats, if you're lacking salt, your body will tell you, like, look, but by this craving, you should eat a ton of this. So I was like, this morning, I was like craving like fat salt. And the thing that came into my head was French fries, of course, like slathering on a crusty layer of salt on French fries. I'm like, that's what I want. That's what my body is telling me. And then I was like, no, you can't just go eating like a huge mound of fries covered in salt every time your body tells you to. And then I thought to myself, why not? If my body is telling me to, maybe it needs some more sodium, or maybe it needs some more chloride, or maybe it needs a kind of fat that I'm not getting from the
Yeah.
beef that I eat every day because I eat a lot of lean meat, or from the eggs. So it's like I started wondering about the depth of the lies. I always have to go very philosophically down rabbit holes. The depth of the lies that we've been told throughout our entire lives about nutrition and what's good for us, from vitamin D to cholesterol. And I'm like, what if absolutely everything they've ever told us in as per advertising that came down from our parents was complete bullshit? What if,
Absolutely.
because I don't know many people who have a high fat, high protein diet who are fat. Do you know what I mean? They,
Yeah.
they always tell us, like, if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. And that's an absolute falsehood. Absolutely. The thing that makes you gain weight is if you have a metabolic problem, which usually comes from eating too much stupid fake sugar, high
Yeah.
fructose corn syrup. And a lot of people get fooled because they think that drinking liquids ain't gonna make them gain weight. But if you're drinking a 2 liter Coke every day, let me tell you
Hmm.
something.
The
You're not
sugar
only gonna
converts to
wait,
fat.
you're
Yeah.
gonna get cancer. So yeah, it was like the point of my whole rant here was that I realized there's 0.00% wrong with following an instinct that your body is like screaming at you
Yeah.
for. based on the fact that it might not align with what you've always kind of quote unquote known. It's like there's nothing bad that would happen to me if I ate a gargantuan massive platter of fries with salt right now. I didn't, incidentally, because I don't have potatoes. I would have made them myself, but um but I will.
It it's the drifting disconnect between like nurture and nature, right?
Yeah.
It's and sometimes they can be aligned very well. Sometimes they're not. And that kind of comes down to it's I always quote my favorite comedian, Tim Dillon, looking and he uses it for politics, but it applies really to anything. And it's looking through looking through the world through the lens of I'm a Democrat or a Republican is simply the shirking of the burden of independent thought. And I just love it so much in terms of like, well, I'm a conservative. It's like, no, 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 no. No, what do you believe? No, I don't care what Fox said. I don't care what Mitt Romney or Donald Trump. What do you believe? And it's difficult at first, but it's also like the most rewarding thing. It's like when I play video games, I never intentionally, I never do the tutorial. I never read any of the tips. I don't look into the background of the game. I don't go on like forums and look at other people's gameplay. I like to go in just fucking blind, no matter what the game is. And
Mm.
the things I always establish at first, the very first thing I always establish is how do I kill something? That's the number one. The first thing is how do I kill? No matter what the game is, how do I kill? The second thing I do is I establish the map. I'm like, where are the boundaries? What's the highest and the lowest you can go? And then I'm like, how do I get more powerful? How do I enhance my ability to kill? And then no matter what the game is, if it's an Air Force game or if it's a ship game or if it's an individual shooter, even if it's not that type of game, that's just how I'll play it. And by doing that, some things you'll learn that you could have learned very quickly had you taken the tutorial. Like, yeah, if you do this and then this and then this, it's like, man, it's like you taught yourself that over a month, you could have learned it in an hour. Sure. But the coolest thing is when you learn some new strategy or theme that no one else learned because everyone else is taking the tutorial and they're all watching each other's gameplay and well he did this so I'll do this versus if you go in I think it's like a joke on this I think speaking of Sun Tzu it's like a modern meme it's like I don't think the Marines made it but it was like the enemy can't know what you're doing if you don't know what you're doing basically
Exactly.
basically
Exactly.
just like fuck
That's
it
real
like
strategy. It's
they
not a strategy.
they
The
can't
way of
figure
life.
out our strategy because we don't have one and
I
then
don't
so
have
like and so
one.
doing that in games, you'll have a lot of like very painful learning curves. But given enough time, you'll learn some new like
Good.
golden thread that no one else, because they're like, what the fuck? The analogy the example I always use, and I'll keep it short, is the game Far Cry 5. It's a whole thing where you're supposed to, build alliances and take over this whole, it's like a 100-hour campaign. I found very early on that if you killed a bunch of cows and then you took the meat from the cows and threw it on the ground, wolves would come. And then if you killed the wolves, you could sell the skins for like 100 times more money than any mission would give you. And then so
Wow.
you'd stack money and then just buy the most powerful gun. And so I did that. So I would just do nothing but kill cows for like 3 days. And then I had like a 50 caliber armor piercing and then you just go and beat the game on your own.
That's
And if you
creative.
look it
Wow.
up, no one else does that. And it's like, because no one else, this makes sense. Why would you do that? But it comes down to independent thoughts. What you were saying about what if everything we've like been told through, about nutrition or anything about history is fake? Well, what you can do is put it to your own litmus test. Just start fucking around with it. And you're going to have learning curves and you're going to have, a lot of errors. But eventually, you're going to find some objective truth that is self-evident. And
And
all
it'll
you
be
do is
very
kill cows. I'm like, try it. You do it. And they do it, and they're like, fuck. You can completely bypass the rest of the game. I'm like, you can literally get a gun that shoots flaming bullets, and then the rest of the game doesn't
love
matter.
that.
You just go kill everyone. You're just some like demigod figure. But
Did you read my latest Substack article?
no, was I supposed to?
Really interesting. No,
Yeah.
because you're basically talking about what at least my impression of what I was trying to write about. Like really, just that in the context of AI. And my own struggle with what I'm going through with AI now. So I had a class yesterday and I wanted to know like was a bunch of completely, random people, different ages, different lifestyle, different jobs and stuff. And I wanted to know what their engagement level with AI was now, as opposed to like 3 months from now and a year from now, because I'm finding myself engaging with AIs every single day as par for the course right now. And I use it in a very utilitarian way. Like I ask it to help me uh, fix bugs in my code or whatever. Um, but it's getting me thinking because I mean, as time is going on, time ticks on, they're getting, I'm going to use the word more creative. They're able to generate like images way better. They're able to generate videos with like 4K quality now. I saw some stuff yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to tell soon. Um, and it's like, it's really making me struggle, like with my own. Every time I engage with one in a more like creative setting, like let's just give an example. If I wanted to generate an image of a beautiful galaxy, let's say, um, my act of doing that, of just typing in the words into a computer, please generate an image of a galaxy, to me is taking me away from having, a I'm losing the word now. The thing that you paint on, help
Canvas.
me out. Thank you. What? I lose words these days, man. So having a canvas in front of me and painting my own depiction of a galaxy, like because I paint and I love to paint, and it's like this pure expression that starts somewhere and ends somewhere, and it's never narrated, it's never, there are no rules. That's what I love about it. It's like you can do whatever you want. No one will judge you. It might, be beautiful at the end. You never know where it's going to go. So I'm struggling with that because it's like I think the thought processes that go with being creative in art, in music, in playing a game, in creating, a new way to defeat a game is like it's kind of being suppressed and put to the side when you
Mm,
ask an AI to do it for you. And I think that I'm assuming that if I'm going through this now, that a lot of other people are as well. Although I have been surprised pleasantly that a lot of people are saying they haven't engaged at all with any AIs. That makes me feel
I don't.
good.
I don't. I will not.
I love it. I'm so happy to hear that. So maybe I'm only having my own weird experimental phase with them, but I just I'll give you another specific example in terms of writing, because it seems like what I do most nowadays is write, either, summary of a journal article or what happened to me that day. And if I want to source something, if I want to find a reference for something that if I know that there's a paper on PubMed, instead of like just this is just an example, instead of going straight to PubMed and typing in some keywords to get the article to come up, I'll ask an AI first to like summarize what they know about the subject matter and provide a reference. So it's like, and then I don't know, it defers me away. I know. I love that you're shaking your head because there's something, it's not coalescing for me in this path. Do you know what I mean? It's like it seems like it's taking me away from a pure form of the creativity. I think that's the best way to put it.
I was thinking about this last week actually, and how there's always like a middle line. So you could say, people don't have little black books with all their phone numbers anymore. You'd be like, that's a lost art. You'd be like, yeah, but to me, it's like, so I don't know any, I know like my mom's number, my dad's number, and my number. And it's like, well, that's a lost art. I'm like, yeah, but by having a phone, I can just go click on a button and call them, which has freed how much more, mental capacity has that freed me up from? I don't need to know every little thing if I can go to Wikipedia, and if Wikipedia is biased, I can go to an alternative source. So simply I don't need shelves of books. Now I get it, the pitfalls are digitals can be, quietly redacted. I get it. But in general, there's always a progression of like, but by using this, I can now do that. So, I'm not a steel mill worker. It's like, well, you just do a podcast. It's like, yeah, but by simply having a thing to talk into with a microphone, I can generate my own income in an entirely unique way. So there's the pros, and that's all of technology. You can't be a Luddite because that you go extinct. But with something like I think that there are probably like good things for AI. I would imagine like autocorrect. I don't mind that. I don't even type. One time I accidentally turned it off and I realized every text I sent is complete like like LSD tripping cuneiform bullshit. And I'm like,
I've
it
got
I,
messages like
I
that.
type every word wrong, but it just automatically. So, hey, what time are you going to be on later? It's like never, but it's like, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? I would say AI is probably good there, right? But for things, even little things where people are like, here's an article, and it's like, well, on Twitter, like, well, Grok said, or on Meta, whatever Meta's AI, or you type in Google, you're like, what is, and it goes, quick AI overview. I look at that and I go, you are surrendering it's not the same as a phone or autocorrect where it's doing a menial task. Yeah, it knows all the numbers, so I can just click on Jessica Rose. I don't need or autocorrect, so I don't have to go in and every little, okay. But something like an AI summary, or sometimes people ask like a business plan. I've seen this where they're like, how do I go
Yeah.
about growing my podcast? And people will be like, well, I typed it into AI and it gives you a quick like 10. And I'm like, you look at it and I'm like, yeah, but let's say it is accurate. You are not using that. And therefore, you are atrophying that skill. And what is the skill? Well, if it's just memorizing phone numbers, I'm okay with that atrophying. I don't care. But when the atrophy is a quick conclusion of a new news article, well, I didn't read that book, but I read the Grok overview. It's 30 seconds. Even that, I go, you are surrendering the ability to quickly look at
Yeah.
something and come up with your own opinion. And that's not even addressing the fact that, I don't know, the AIs might be biased based on the corporations that built them, which of course it fucking is. But let's not even say that. Let's say it's a perfect world where that doesn't even happen. It's all benevolent. You are surrendering that capability. So what happens when and let's say AI just paused right now and it didn't progress at all. Just in this, it will, but let's just say even if it didn't. Okay, so we start using this. Our kids start using this. We teach our kids how to use it. We go, yeah, you just ask Grok. Their grandkids do it. In a couple generations, no one has any fucking idea how to think critically. And
Yeah.
okay, in a perfect world, which we are nowhere near, but let's say it's not perfect, hypothetically, this world. How quickly until someone just, I don't know, nuke the AI, and now you have a bunch of retards who don't know how to critically think, and their parents don't know, and their grandparents don't know. You don't even know what critical thinking is. It's probably going to be a censored word. You're going to be like, yeah, that's old conspiracy theory about how you could
And
deduce
we used to be
reality.
like,
And you
wow.
look at that and you go, okay, do I know how to hunt? No. But I know how to go to the grocery store and get food. Okay. That frees me up time to do something like this. Okay. When you are surrendering and thus atrophying the actual critical thinking about, people are like, well, how do I start my own podcast? I'm like, a lot of you just have to go in and like make it up as you go. How do I find people? You just start messaging people. A lot of them will say no, and then over time you'll get a little bit better at crafting it and saying, I would like for you to please come on my show. Like video games, though, there's a lot of trials and there's a lot of errors. But the reason I game all the time is because it helps me with the podcast. The podcast is a game. So what happens when you play these games without the tutorials? You learn how to play games without tutorials. Okay, but why? You could always do the tutorial. Sure. What happens when you embark on an endeavor for which there is not a tutorial? How do I start a
Mm.
podcast on a laptop and turn it into enough money to make it my own job? There's no book on that. Well, luckily, I've been doing this whole trial and error thing. So it kind of applies to this. When you let go of that, it's not that people won't talk about conspiracies, they physically will not have the neuron networks to
Yeah.
even suppose that conspiracies exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
And I think
total
atrophy is a beautiful
surrender.
word. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Atrophy is the word because we're talking about like what you said. If you don't use it, you lose it. And when you heal from trauma or when you learn something, you make new neural connections and there's more electrical activity. And so that's exactly why I'm in this, this interesting experimental phase with this thing, feeling a little bit like not quite comfortable. It's like I feel what it could do to me, and I don't like it. I don't want that to happen at all. I like one of the most precious things you can do is, be creative. That's the height of, intelligence for me. Discover who you are as an individual being. We all have some kind of talent, and I mean, you have to kind of leave all that other stuff, to the side, go inside yourself and get some quiet somehow and figure out what that is all by yourself. It's just like you said, it's the trial and erroring thing. And yeah, it's not. I don't know how the kids are doing it. I swear to God, I don't know how they're doing it with all the phones and the distractions. It's like, how are they ever going to figure out who they are? You know what I mean?
I think even that though is a quest on your own. Like no one put me into meditating. I just got into it around 18. Like, and there are some things where it's like a natural.
What inspired you to?
I remember, so I would sit on, so yeah, it was like my senior year of high school, maybe not senior. And I think it was like really kind of the first times getting into just thinking about like the actual size of like the solar system and the galaxy. Like, and not just like, yeah, man, it's, it's so big. Like, really trying to appreciate, like, if the sun was a medicine ball, the earth would be the size of a grain of sand on like a 30-yard line. And really try to like feel that. And then like Pluto would be 2 miles away. So the whole solar system as a sphere would be 4 miles. And then if you shrunk that down to the size of a marble, the nearest star, if you did that where I was, Atlanta, the nearest star would be a marble on the Golden Gate Bridge. And then you're like, and those are just two stars. And then you zoom out to the side, and it's like, well, what if every solar system, not star, solar system was the size of a grain of sand? Like the average galaxy would be something like 18 miles wide. So you drive 60 miles an hour on the highway for 18 minutes. Every grain of sand, or let's say it's a fog, every fog is this. And I would just start to get into that. And eventually you start to hit this like, it's like dividing by zero. You're like, and it's, but then there would sort of just be this like calm of like, it's not that you have to try to not worry. It's that rationally you can't. And I think now
Yeah,
I look at that and I go, that's probably like an approximation of getting to know God. At the time, I was in like edgy Reddit atheist, but like I went down that path and I would just get these feelings of like total, like everything just turned off. And it'd be like, I'd feel muscles relax that I didn't even know I had. And, and so I would do that and kind of pursue, and then over the years, it just turned to this and now I found like a much easier way. You don't need to go through this. You just kind of sit for 20 minutes and let your mind come to. But like a video game, you play it long enough, you eventually you find out your own, your own strategy that works really well. But that alone would lead to sort of but what's the point of saying all this is no one pushed me to that. That was just a natural. I went to that. Yeah, the salmon just swimming upstream. So how are they going to find themselves with phones and VR? Yeah, it'll be difficult, but some will just in their own, they'll find it. Those who are meant to
nature nurture, yeah.
will find it. They'll find their way there. And if who knows, maybe all this technology facilitates it. Maybe it causes burnout much earlier. People go, fuck it. What normally used to happen at 70, they do it like 15. They're like, I don't want any
Yeah.
part of the rat race. I just want to, you know. So I don't know, but it's I think everything we're talking about comes back down to like carry the burden of like figuring it out on your own. And
Yeah,
it's not just a burden, it's also like great fun. It
it
really is.
is. It's the
It's
best fun.
soothing, it's satisfying. You could have figured out that game so much quicker. To what end? So I finished the game and move on to the next one? No, I love the process of like going into a game and being like, all right, there's a civilian. I'm gonna go up and beat him to death with a crowbar. Okay, that's how I kill. Oh, cops are here. Fuck. Okay, they can kill me. I need to be more quiet about this next time. And then just figure it out over hundreds of attempts. And it's just the most beautiful. Like the point of the movie isn't to get to the end, it's to enjoy the movie. And so like
Exactly.
this shit feels like Lord of the Rings or something. Like yeah, I'm just like, yeah, honestly I kind of get sad when the game's over. I'm like, ah, fuck, I figured it out. Like, so I don't know. I don't know where I was going with all that, but
No, I totally relate. I never have like beginnings. I don't like ends. I like the middle. And I think that's the analogy. It's like the journey is, that's the place I like to be. It's where I resonate the most.
so great. It's so great. It's
Yeah.
and it's it's like I highly doubt like one caveman discovered fire and then that was it. It was probably discovered in like multiple tribes and multiple caves thousands of times before it started to actually get the knowledge was passed. Can you imagine the fucking thrill of like living in the elements and like cold and you're like
All of a sudden there's this like orange
you and
heat
you and you can reproduce it. It wasn't just like a one-off. You're like, no,
and you
no,
can,
wait. You show your friends, you bring it into the cave, and you do this thing. You're also, can you imagine like the fucking giggles they would have where they'd be like, oh my fucking dude, what the fuck is this? People are like, what
wow, I
is
have to
that?
go into like, I have to go into that. Like, I haven't thought about what
Think
that
about
would
how
feel.
fucking psychedelic that would be.
Like, they must have been seeing lightning for a long time, right?
Sure,
Like,
sure. And they'd probably seen fire, but imagine the first one that was like, we're gonna go create this. Can you
right,
imagine them all sitting around just like,
right.
that's probably the feeling of like, I don't know, like the first time, like, Steve Jobs got the Apple computer to work, where he's like, I think I just changed the world. Do you know how many cavemen sat around were just like, dude,
It's
what the
really
fuck
interesting. Do
is
you think that
this?
they tried to recreate the fire that they saw that say started from like an electrical storm?
Someone did the first time by accident. They were just banging
They
shit and
pick
there
up
was a spark.
a branch or like leaves and they're like, oh, and
They
then like put it down and like say,
probably
let's
thousands of different generations of trying it where they're like, oh, wet shit doesn't burn, sand doesn't burn. And then finally, like someone did like a spark onto something else. Maybe they saw a fire throwing embers, and when they realized the ember kind of looks like a spark, and they're like, "Well, Bob
right.
always does this spark thing. He just does it because it's funny." And then they made a fire where it's warm. Dude, they probably just sat around like just staring at. It's probably like the first time like the Wright brothers
No.
flew. They were just like they just flew and they landed, and they're like, "Do you know what you just did?" And they're like, "Dude, holy fuck." And like
And
that's the
and now
joy.
with it. We can
What?
boil water.
Yeah.
We can eat. We can be
Like
warm. We
like
can heat
it's
our
it's the most fun fucking you're like motherfucker. We fucking fire. I don't care if anyone believes me. I mean, that guy probably fucking like was just like that was the coolest thing ever. That was the coolest thing ever. I
They
mean,
must have
that's
gotten a bit, eh? Like in trying to attempt it the first few times, whoever they were.
you said what?
They must have gotten burned a few times,
Oh
right?
yeah, they're probably fucking half of them probably died.
Rose.
They probably started forest fires and got stuck in them, and then and then there goes the knowledge of how to do it. They die, and it's like,
Right, right.
yeah,
Interesting.
a lot of them probably did discover like this is great, and then they died, and then there goes that, and
Carbon
eventually,
monoxide poisoning too in their cave.
oh yeah, it was probably horrible, but it's like the thrill of that, or it's like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's like they pick something up and throw it, and it's the throwing arm, and they kill an animal with something much denser than their fist. It was a rock. They probably looked at each other and they're like, "It's like, have you ever seen those old like you can find them with like any famous art, like Eminem or something?" And it's like they're in it's find these old like grainy like VHS videos from the 90s and you see it's like the first time they come up with the beat for like Slim Shady. It's like down 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 and you see them kind of look at each other like what is this? And you're like, "Oh my God, that's the first time anyone ever made the beat for the real Slim Shady." And they just kind of look at it and you can feel it. You're like, they immediately knew that they just created like a song that everyone will know. It's got to be like that same feeling of like the first time you throw a rock and it hits like a tiger and it just drops dead. It's like, down, 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 down. They're looking at it like, dude,
Exactly the
dude,
same.
dude. Like, it's like you can see him. You can see like Dr. Dre looking at Eminem and they're like staring at you like, oh my God. Like,
There is something like I don't know if it's I'll use the word magical about because I make music and I've had moments like that. I'm like when I'm seeking and I'm just like you, man. I don't read the manual. My bass player used to get so mad at me. He used to say, read the fucking manual. Because
you,
I get a keyboard and I'm like, no, I just want to do this and figure something out. And that was my creative process. So but when I make when I come up with a line that it's like I just know that that's the line that's going to be in the final track that I'm going to make. There's no way for me to know that.
yeah.
But it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, how weird is that? It's almost like you're tapping into some kind of foresight and
Yeah.
math, music is math. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. There's too much we don't understand.
But it's no, it's just like the purest pursuit. It's just like everything kind of just makes sense. You're like that was you're like my entire life was kind of worth it that I just like got to experience that. It's like there's a game I was played Just Cause 4 whatever and like one of the things you could do is you could just like tie like balloons to shit. And like then another thing you could do is you could put these little like they
I gotta play these games,
they're
man.
so fun. You can get these little things like the size of like a what's it called? Like a coaster, like a cup thingy, and it's like a rocket and it burns for like 30 seconds and it produces whatever, 10 newtons of force. And it's like just those two things, a balloon and that. And then it's like kind of go wild. And the game's fun, the campaign's fun, and all the explosions and the VFX and whatever. The most fun I would have, I mean, like by myself, just like a smile breaking across my face would be like after 100 iterations where I like balanced the balloons perfectly on a city bus and covered the back in like 100 rockets, and then like would like drive it and like go off a hill and then like press the rockets and like the balloons would release and then like fly a city bus around like a goddamn plane until eventually you hit a mountain and die. But like, I mean, the times doing that was just, and
Wow.
it's like, and it's not a game where you can't go get in a plane. Sure, but the fact that you like took a dump truck and then another time like I took like a dump truck and then I put a tank like a little tank I like drove it into the back and then I like picked the whole thing up and was like flying it and I like flew it over an enemy base and then like got out of the dump truck like while I'm 200 feet in the air like crawled into the tank and now I've got this like barrel and I'm like shooting at this enemy base and then like they shoot one of the balloons and the thing's spiraling down and like
Have
Mhm.
fun.
Dude, I did this like by myself, not even like with an audience or like laughing hysterically. Because it was just like you feel like a caveman making fu like flying a fucking school bus around like a plane. It's like you're just laughing, and then you're like, oh fuck, and you come and you hit a tree at 300 miles an hour, and then it ends. But like that is so much more fun than like, well, you can get in a fighter jet. I'm like, yeah, that's not okay. It's so much more fun to like but I think that's kind of like the purity and I don't think you can really teach that to people. Maybe you can, but I think it's like a natural pursuit on your own to where someone else would be like, where's the peer reviewed studies about fries? And like that's not the case. That's not the point. The point is like the point is like going in and like figuring this shit out on your own. And it's just yeah, it's not a burden. It
Yeah, you
appears
have
like a
to follow,
burden.
yeah, you have to follow your instincts as well, which is also a skill.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people, something I'm trying to develop now is not just like listening to my instincts and following them more, but recognizing them when they come, because I think that's the hardest part, right? Because I think that we have instincts like constantly going off, not just fight or flight, but like guiding instincts. Like
Yeah.
this is the route that you should take if you want to get to that point in the future type thing.
Yeah.
Um,
And I would say like something like what, how does this apply to real life? How is it, more than just like a fun thing? And I look at it like, okay, so like my podcast makes like just enough money. I have no kids, no wife, no pets, no debts. It makes just enough money to support a single dude in a one bedroom apartment. Okay. I did get into medical school in 2013. I could absolutely be a doctor, probably making close to, I don't know, 100 times my current salary. Sure, no, cool. Would help people get it, got it good. Even when I worked at a liquor store, when I first started the podcast, earning minimum wage, I think I was still making more doing that than this. Then why do it? What is the point of this? There's something about building your own school bus and turning it into a plane. It's like I earn less
flying it
than minimum
up.
wage and I have to work like 80-hour weeks and there is no guarantee. It's like, why do it? Because I am my boss. I don't have to, this is work right now. This is my job. Instead of stacking shelves, I'm talking to you about this. And that is worth so much more than like $1 million salary where you have a boss and you got to be at work at 9 and you have to go to quarterly meetings. Like that's that's the value of it. That's how you take this novel idea we're talking about. Yeah, it's all fun and good. How do you apply it to real life? This is how. I I can tom I can starting tomorrow, I can cancel my next show, cancel every show for the next 30 days and answer to nobody with no repercussions. I don't think my dad ever had that freedom even as like an executive.
Yeah.
So like it is it has the most real effects if you can apply it to your own life. So, yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that either, but
It's a good summary of the entire conversation, actually. It does have the most real effects when you're in control. And yeah, it does also require a level of ability to face the fear.
uh-huh. And
Right?
fail, and you gotta fly a lot of buses into a lot of mountains. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
but if you stick to it and you figure out the little paths, you start to, you're like, this is the podcast is 5 years in, it's just paying enough of my bills. And it's that kind of moment where I'm like, oh my God, I'm flying a dump truck. And it's like, yeah, you could have gotten in a plane. I'm
I'm
like, yeah.
gonna giggle.
I'm like, this is so much better. Like, this is, and I don't, and someone might look at it and be like, I think I would rather more money with less. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. Like, that's your prerogative. I am fucking a caveman by myself making fire, just laughing hysterically. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing
Yeah,
ever.
me
I don't,
too.
I don't
Me
care if a
too.
tiger eats me tomorrow. This is fucking amazing. Um,
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm not driven by money at all. I want nothing more than to be useful. That's important to me, but I
yeah,
also want to just myself and answer as many, basic questions as possible,
yeah,
especially in biology, because I
yeah,
just find biology fascinating.
yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, you can apply it to meaningful stuff like, helping others or
Yeah,
sobriety or whatever.
I have
Um,
to. It's like that's kind of ingrained in everything that I
yeah,
do because I see things from a systems point of view. Like I am not independent of this system, this network of human beings that exists. I know that. It's
yeah,
like
y-
yeah, it's funny to me that there are so many people who really go through life kind of acting that way, that they are independent.
yeah, I'd say on top of like the fun and the laughter is, yeah, no, and then you try to go like, I should at least try to help or be useful to, or at least show someone else how to do this, because then I feel like I helped push humanity forward like just a little bit on the scale. Um, but Dr. Rose, I'm an idiot and I got to wrap this up because I have another
I
show
know
to
I
get
was
to.
looking at the clock. I'm
Yeah.
like, hard stop.
That was fun as fuck. That was wonderful.
It really was, but
That was
we
really
need to
try with
title with cats.
yeah, I know, right. I have to tie in the cats That's kind of what
Uh,
cats are doing. They're just pushing over glasses. They're just trying to discover gravity on their own.
they're just like slumped over you in a pile of fur and love. And
Oh man,
yeah. You
I might get
want to come to say?
hi baby. All right, Dr. Lewis, we got to wrap this up, guys. Please go in the description. Please go follow her, I believe, on Twitter and on Substack. I already texted you this link, and yeah, we'll do another one. That was super fun, Dr. Rose. Thank you.
It was.
All
Let's
right.
talk again soon. Have a
Yes,
great
ma'am.
day.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for watching.